Well, hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's evening edition of The Goldie Show. I'm going to go over everything that has happened in the last 48 hours between the United States, the Islamic regime, Iran, and everything that is going on in the Middle East. We have a jam-packed show because I wasn't able to live stream last night, and I do apologize for that, but I am here now. As usual, before we begin, if you're watching in the live stream, let me know in the live stream chat where you're tuning in from. And if you're watching the repeat, of course, let me know in the video comments afterwards, because I'm always curious to know where everyone is watching from and how big and global our community is. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently tonight because I wasn't able to live stream last night. So I'm going to begin with sort of a breakdown and analysis of everything that has been going on. I've taken the time to make some notes and translate a few things from Persian into English. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to start off with sort of a breakdown of what's happening. And then afterwards, I will get into some videos and commentary, and of course, the breaking news as well, because my understanding is that, the last I checked, the United States is still currently booming the IRGC. And that is very significant. If you are interested in knowing what's happening with the Iranian people and their fight against the Islamic regime and the Iranian Revolution, definitely check out my live stream from earlier today, Iran Revolution Live, day 195, where I go into that. But again, the Goldie Show is more focused on, geopolitics in general. And, I give sort of an objective analysis. I also translate, political speak into English, relying on my personal experience as a former Canadian politician of 7 years. I was in politics for 10 years, elected official for 7 years. And again, just a quick FYI, I am on the road, so it's not my, usual background, not my usual setup or studio, but, I make do. I make do because regardless of where I am in the world, as long as I have my laptop and an internet connection, I can do, my shows, and I can still provide my commentary and my analysis on everything that is happening. So let's get right into it. And like I said, I'm going to start with my overall analysis and sort of summary of what has happened in the last 48 hours, because I really do believe that things are escalating, and they are escalating rapidly. And I actually posted about this on X yesterday. So let me just pull up my post on X, okay? Because this is what I want everyone to really focus on and think about right now. So let me just share this really quickly. So yesterday I posted, I think President Trump is gearing up for something very big. I have a feeling that he's going to make such an example of the terrorist Islamic regime occupying Iran so that no other American enemy will even dare to glance at the United States sideways for the next 100 years. Now, this is something that I posted yesterday. And now we have a statement that President Trump made today, which pretty much confirms exactly what I said yesterday, which again leads me to believe that my analysis so far about what's happening in the Middle East is probably correct, right? I mean, it's nothing is 100%, nothing is 100%, but of course my analysis is based on the current information and analysis, out there. So there you go. But I digress. So let me just pull this up, and let me read through my notes really quickly. Once I'm done reading through my notes, I will then provide, some, latest updates and news, and, we'll go to some footage as well. But I really do want to start with this. So give me a moment, and then I'm going to read through the notes that I have prepared for all of you. So tensions between the Islamic Republic occupying Iran and the United States are increasing rapidly. They are moving towards a serious confrontation. And if nothing unusual or strange happens, right, like if all the indicators that I am seeing remain the same, then the United States and the Islamic regime, if they continue on this same course, I truly believe that a very intense battle between the two sides will occur soon, because we're all seeing the signs. A kind of showdown is unfolding, and both sides appear to be preparing to use the maximum extent of their capabilities, unless at the very last moment, the Islamic regime backs down and wants to return to the negotiating table. Now, here's the thing. President Trump is saying, and has been saying for the last few days, that the Islamic regime wants to go back to the negotiation table. However, President Trump has made it very clear that he is done. He is done with the Islamic regime. And what he said is that if they want to talk, sure, he's willing to talk, but the ceasefire is still over, okay? Now, if for some crazy reason the Islamic regime, through their proxies like Qatar and Pakistan, if they are able to somehow convince President Trump to stop the boom booms and go back to the negotiating table, right? I mean, Unless that happens, which I think that is very unlikely. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but it is very unlikely. Um, Other than that, based on the current based on the current trajectory, both sides are moving very rapidly toward a very severe war. And I say war in quotations because we all know the Islamic regime does not have the military capability to stand up to the United States. They just don't. The Islamic regime, the only thing they're good at is murdering innocent, unarmed Iranian people. But when it comes to the United States or even Israel, we've already seen they don't have the ability to defend or attack or anything like that, right? Marco Rubio today said that the memorandum of understanding is no longer valid. I mean, it was never really valid in the first place, but Marco Rubio today confirmed that the MOU is no longer valid. He said that the Islamic regime violated it, and that's why the United States no longer views the MOU as valid. And this is 100% correct, because remember, it's the Islamic regime that has been violating the so-called, MOU right from the very beginning. What we're hearing in the media is that the United States is sending large numbers of troops and additional substantial military equipment to the Persian Gulf region. Additional US aircraft are flying towards the region while there are already 60 to 70 of them present there. Now, here's the thing. Statements by officials on both sides against each other have become extremely harsh over the past several hours. Not only has the number of hostile statements increased, but their tone has become much more severe. President Trump said today, "I have ordered CENTCOM to open the gates of hell on the Islamic Republic." Now, let me pull up that statement because this is very, very interesting. Okay, so let me pull this up here. Okay, and guys, honestly, this is music. This is music to my ears. Okay, so let me pull this up. And President Trump actually posted this screenshot on his Truth Social. So Trump orders CENTCOM to open the gates of hell after US troops killed, launches strikes on Iran. Now, keep in mind, whenever you see launches strikes on Iran, they actually mean the Islamic Republic, right? Like the United States is not attacking Iranian civilians. They're literally attacking IRGC bases, and of course, those the infrastructure that's being used by the Islamic regime for military purposes. And remember, the Geneva Conventions make it very clear that civilian assets and civilian areas are protected from military strikes unless they are being used for military purposes. Once civilian areas are being used for military purposes, they lose the protection that they have under the Geneva Conventions. And of course, His Royal Highness, King Reza Pahlavi, in his speech earlier today to the Iranian people, okay, in his speech, he said, where was it? Here we go. So this is a part of his speech that's really important to what's happening right now, because we all know this, but the fact that His Royal Highness reiterated this is really important for you guys to understand, because you're going to start seeing like the Muslim Nazis and the Durkas and the, Trump derangement syndrome people and the Democrats. They're going to come out and they're going to be like, "Oh no, President Trump is attacking residential or civilian areas," right? No, that's literally not what's happening, because the Islamic regime has built no shelters for people, nor does it have the capacity to defend the country's skies. Its leaders, hiding underground, are making military use of schools, hospitals, and other civilian centers, and have turned the Iranian people, including conscript soldiers in their garrisons, into human shields. Um, um, Now, here's the thing that you guys need to understand, okay? So, this is really, really important, okay? Where is it? Gosh, where is this? Wait, let me just pull this up. I just want to pull up. Here we go. Okay. So, it's, which article is it? Okay. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Why can I not find? Sorry, I'm not like on my usual setup. So, all right, where is it? Here we go. Sorry, guys. I apologize. Give me one moment. I want to make sure I have the right. Here we go. This is what it is. Okay, I found it. I found it, guys. All right. So, this is what I wanted to share with you. Okay. So, civilian objects used for military purposes. So, wait. Oh my gosh, that's not even the right one. Here we go. It's this one. Oh my gosh. Why can I not wait? Why can I not find this? Which Geneva Convention was this? Right? Was it Article 52? Gosh, okay, I can't find it right now. I can't find it right now. Sorry, guys. But essentially, the Geneva Conventions, I can't recall which article is it right now. But essentially what happens is that when civilian areas like schools, hospitals, residential buildings, places of worship, whatever the case may be, they are protected from military strikes. Okay, so they are not legitimate military targets. Okay, so that's how it starts. However, if if one side is using civilian areas for military purposes, then that civilian area loses its protected status under the Geneva Conventions and it becomes a legitimate military target. Okay, so the Islamic regime has been doing this with residential areas within occupied Iran. Hamas does the same thing with places in Gaza or wherever, right? Like these terrorists, they try to reverse engineer the Geneva Conventions in order to gain some sort of protection. But the Geneva Conventions make it very clear that once you use a civilian building or area for military purposes, then that protected, like the protection that that place has, is no longer valid. So doesn't matter if it's a house, a hospital, a school, whatever. Okay, this is one of the tactics that these Islamic terrorist organizations have been using for 47 years to shield themselves. They literally use human shields. Okay, so this is why His Royal Highness, okay, there's a Pahlavi, is calling this out, right? Because the Islamic regime are making military use of schools, hospitals, and other civilian centers, okay, to protect themselves. However, that protection is gone. That protection is literally gone, okay? And in fact, it is a war crime. It is literally so according to the Geneva Conventions, it is a war crime to use civilian areas and civilian assets for military purposes, which means that, if the United States attacks a school or a hospital or, like a place of worship or a residential area, okay, let's say if the United States or Israel does that, then the United States or Israel is not at fault, okay? Because they are attacking a legitimate military target. The ones who are at fault are the ones who are using that civilian area for military purposes, which means the Islamic regime is at fault because they are breaking the Geneva Conventions by destroying and nullifying the protected status of those civilian areas. So literally, once you use a civilian area for military purposes, that becomes a legitimate military target. So keep that in mind, okay? That's what I wanted to share about this. So let me continue with my analysis, okay? So President Trump said that I have ordered CENTCOM to open the gates of hell on the Islamic Republic. Let me see if I can actually find that statement from President Trump, because I probably have it somewhere, right? So, oh yeah, that was a Truth Social post, right? Anyways, so there you go. That's what that statement is about. Now, this is a very strong statement from President Trump, right? So when President Trump is saying that he's ordered, okay, he has ordered CENTCOM to open, to open the gates of hell. That's not a mild statement, right? Like, to me, that is definitely escalation, okay? This could mean heavy bombardments, using heavy bombers. We don't know, but all we know is that it appears as if things are escalating rapidly, okay? President Trump said, that following the murder of American soldiers, he has ordered CENTCOM to open the gates of hell on the Islamic regime. He's also said that if the Islamic regime strikes ships, we will strike the bridges and the power plants in Tehran and surrounding areas. This statement by President Trump that, to the Islamic regime, basically saying, if you attack, we will strike the bridges and power plants. This has caused a large number of Islamic regime officials and institutions, mainly the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commanders, to make extremely harsh statements about the United States over the past hour. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a statement saying that they are prepared for an operation that would require a public casualty announcement in the United States. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's see how much they can actually do that. Because apparently they have said, like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have said, we will do something that will force you to announce casualties publicly in the United States. So the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, I think, at this point is threatening some sort of terrorist attack in the United States, right? So the IRGC is no longer saying that we're going to strike back. They're literally implying that they're going to do some sort of like, God forbid, they want to do some sort of like 9/11 in the United States. Okay. And we're going to get to that momentarily. So the language, as you can see from both sides, is extremely harsh. The language is escalating. Okay. So this could mean that they're intending to launch a major attack on, American bases, or this could mean that they're planning on engaging in some sort of, God forbid, like 9/11 style attack in the United States. Okay. Now, this is the interesting thing. It's not only the Islamic regime that has made this statement. Okay. Um, they're now getting the uh the Artish, right? The army. They're forcing the army to get involved as well. Now I'm going to pull up the boom boom bingo sheet here. Okay, so let me just change my layout so that it's easier to see. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the chat here. So if you look at the boom boom bingo sheet, as you can see, so far all of the boom booms have happened on the IRGC side. Okay, so you have the IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. A lot of boom booms have happened there. Not many, no, not any boom booms on the Artish side, the army side. That's because President Trump said, I think about a month ago, that he believes there are certain elements within the Artish, the army, that may have defected, and they're more moderate, more reasonable. Okay. However, the Islamic regime is now forcing the Artish to get involved. And let me see if I can find the bookmark here, because I actually do have the video. Where is it? Okay. All right. No, this is a different. Okay, no, this is a different video, but I'm going to share this one as well. But there you go. So you have people on the Artish side, okay? And not only is the IRGC now making statements, but the Navy is now being forced to make statements. And today, the IRGC, the Islamic regime Navy, said that the entrance to and exit from the Strait of Hormuz is under their control, and that ships must only use the route that they designate. So the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, through the Navy, is still pretending as if they somehow control the Strait of Hormuz. And they've also said that if ships use any other route, whatever happens to them will be their own responsibility. So essentially, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is saying that if ships don't follow their route, they're going to be attacked by the Islamic regime. Okay? Now, Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister of the Islamic regime, also made a very strong threat in response to President Trump's remarks. And Abbas Araghchi, remember, if you go to our Boom Boom bingo sheet again, so let me just pull this up. Araghchi, of course, is the foreign minister, right? This Durka here. Araghchi said today. Let's see if I can find the statement. And I have all these videos later, but Here you go. So this is a statement from IRGC, okay, the Muslim Nazi Durka jihadi. So he said, our defense doctrine is clear. Eye for an eye. Any aggression against Iran. So remember, keep in mind, when these Muslim Nazis, okay, when they say Iran, they actually mean the Islamic regime. They don't care about the Iranian people. These are the same occupiers that are invading Iran and they're murdering us Iranians, right? Guys, Arakchi, his last name, okay, Arakchi. So Arak is how you pronounce Iraq, okay? So his last name, Arakchi, literally means from Iraq, okay? Arakchi. I'm not even joking. Okay? So, this is what you need to know. When I say that these people are literally foreign non-Iranian Muslim occupiers, this is what I'm talking about. These Durkas, these non-Iranian Durka terrorists, they have invaded Iran. They've learned our language, which is Persian, and then they pretend to be Iranian, even though they're not. Okay? Arakchi. Arakchi literally means from Iraq. Okay? His lineage, his background, the guy's an Iraqi. Okay? He's an Iraqi Arab, but they've occupied Iran. Remember, Iran is Iranian. Like, we don't speak Arabic, we speak Persian. So these like Iraqi terrorist Muslim Nazis have invaded Iran, and then they claim to speak on behalf of Iran, right? However, what he actually means, like what this Arab, like literally this Arab from Iraq, because his last name, yeah, exactly, Tazi Tom. Guys, these are literally Tazis, right? So Arakchi is literally Tazi Tom. So Tazi Tom is saying any aggression against Iran. What he actually means is the Islamic regime, right? Because the Islamic regime is actually engaging in aggression against the Iranian people. Then he says, including our infrastructure, will compel a powerful and decisive response. Those who contribute to such aggression, whatever the kind of support, will also be considered as legitimate targets, which means like Arakchi is clearly saying that every single country in the Middle East, in the Persian Gulf, that has an American base is essentially a legitimate target for the Islamic regime. Okay, so there you go. That's what this like Arab guy from Iraq, who is now the foreign minister for the Islamic regime occupying Iran, that's what he's saying. Okay, like these people literally don't care about Iran. They're literally like they're not even Iranian. They're not even Iranian, right? So there you go. Like Arakchi literally means from Iraq. Remember that every single time Arakchi opens his garbage mouth, just remember he is an Arab from Iraq who is occupying Iran. Okay, that's really important to remember. So, going back to my analysis now. Oh my gosh, like so much Durka. But anyway, so Ghalibaf also spoke, okay? And basically, they've said that, if you attack our infrastructure, then your infrastructure will also become a legitimate target for us. However, that's not how the law of armed conflict works. That's not how the law of war works, okay? The law of war is very clear. The only legitimate targets are those that are being used for military purposes. The Islamic regime is rewriting the law of war because, of course, the Durkas, right? Remember, if their lips are moving, they're lying, and they will just literally lie to gaslight people. So Ghalibaf, the carpet weaver, he's now saying that, if you strike our infrastructure, your infrastructure becomes legitimate targets. That's not how it works. That's literally not how it works. The Islamic regime is engaging in war crimes and crimes against humanity every single day. So I want to point that out, okay? And then Ghalibaf is also saying that if we cannot export oil, no one else has the right to export oil, okay? So the Islamic regime is basically now saying that if, we cannot fund our terrorism and our jihad, then we're not going to allow anyone else, right, to sell oil in the region. Okay. Now here we go. This is actually the statement here. So let me just share this with you guys. So, so the Islamic regime parliament leader Ghalibaf warned that no country in the region would be able to sell oil if the Islamic regime could not, adding that no infrastructure would remain safe unless Tehran's security was guaranteed. So basically, the Islamic regime is now trying to hold the rest of the world hostage, right? Like they're literally threatening to attack civilian infrastructure, right? Like this is what we Iranians have been warning you about for the last 47 years, right? Like we warned you. We were like, if push comes to shove, the Islamic regime will threaten civilian infrastructure in other countries and try to use the same hostage tactic that they have been using against the Iranian people against the rest of the world. So he continues. The equation of this war is clear. Either all or none. So again, they're literally making up rules because it's against the Geneva Conventions to target civilian infrastructure. And then he says, in a region where we cannot sell oil, no one will sell oil. If our security is not guaranteed, no infrastructure will be safe, and the strait will be secure only in the absence of US forces. Yeah, right. We have repeatedly said that conditions in the strait will not return to what they were before the war. So the Islamic regime is pretty much like writing out their own death sentence. They're talking big. So the reason that they're talking big like this is because they are banking on their allies, right? Like Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and others. They're banking on and of course, JD Vance, they're banking on their allies to try and convince President Trump to go back to the negotiation table, okay? This is the strategy and tactic that they have used for the last 47 years to scare American presidents into backing off and backing down, okay? So this is what we're seeing here. You're not like they're literally showing their true colors. Remember, these like Ghalibaf and IRGC, these are the negotiators that President Trump, claimed were more moderate. Now, I want to put this in perspective because, again, many people were attacking President Trump because when President Trump said that he's dealing with people that are more reasonable and more moderate, people were attacking President Trump unfairly, by the way, unfairly. And they were saying, oh, Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He's being fooled, blah, 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 right? And I was like, guys, this is the wrong analysis. President Trump is not fooled by these Durkas, okay? He's not. President Trump is playing a game. He's toying with them. When President Trump says that he's dealing with people that he thinks are more moderate and more reasonable, that's not because he actually thinks they're moderate and reasonable, the way that like a normal person is moderate and reasonable. He's saying that, like they're more moderate and reasonable on the Durka scale, right? So remember the Durka scale, 0 being normal, 10 being like 100% insane. Okay. So let's say like, going to our boom boom bingo chart here. Okay. Let me pull up the boom boom bingo chart. So, let's assume like Khamenei is like a 10 out of 10 on the Durka scale. And then Larijani, he was so when President Trump says, he got rid of like the first layer of leadership, that's Khamenei. When he says he got rid of the second layer of leadership, that's Larijani and, of course, Shamkhani. Okay. And then he says, now we're on the third layer. Okay. So the third layer is Ghalibaf and, Arakchi. Okay. So when President Trump says that Ghalibaf and Arakchi are, more moderate, more reasonable, that's not like in comparison to more moderate and reasonable people, let's say in the United States or, European countries or wherever. That's within the context of the Dirk scale on the Islamic regime. Okay. So if Khamenei and Larijani are like, let's say, a 10 out of 10, Ghalibaf and Arakchi, okay, let me pull this up. So Ghalibaf and Arakchi, they're more like, let's say a 9.5. Okay, so yeah, Ghalibaf and Arakchi might be more moderate and more reasonable than, Khamenei and Larijani and, of course, Shamkhani, but that's not in the context of like normal, rational, logical people, right? And this is what I've been saying from the very beginning. Okay, I was like, guys, President Trump is saying this because he's playing a game. Okay, he's playing a game, and he's trying to convince, like like he's basically trying to convince Ghalibaf and Arakchi that he's falling for their takia. Okay, I said this from the beginning. President Trump has all the information that he needs, but he's testing them. And guys, remember, it was literally just, I think it was last week, that President Trump said on like his interview with Hugh Hewitt that he was testing them, right? Let me pull this up because this is really important. Okay? So, this was literally 9 days ago. President Trump says that this was a test, okay? Look at this, guys. Listen to this. This is so important right now.
Minimal structure to hold up at the building.
What was the MOU that your negotiators brought back? Was that a side saddle MOU? Was that built to fall apart?
It was built to test. It was a test. We didn't know. It didn't look. Memorandum of understanding when you're dealing with sleazebags don't mean much, and they don't mean much when you're dealing with honorable people too, because it's a memorandum of understanding. It doesn't mean much. And I said, why are we even? It's a standard tactic in the U.S. that you go to a memorandum of understanding and then you go to the deal. I said, just go to the deal first. But you know what? It was sort of a test, and they weren't there. They didn't honor the test. We had it. We had this deal settled numerous times. I said, watch. I guarantee, watch. And they never followed it.
There you go, right? Literally, there you go. So President Trump says this was a test for the sleazebags. Who are the sleazebags? The sleazebags are Ghalibaf, and Arakchi. The same people that President Trump, just, a month ago was saying, we're dealing with people that are more moderate, more reasonable, more respectable. And guys, I was saying from the moment the ceasefire happened and President Trump started talking that way, I said, guys, this is a game. This is a game. President Trump, if he is saying this, he's saying this because this is within the context of the Durka scale, right? So Khamenei, Larijani, Shamkhani, like, 10 out of 10 on the Durka jihadi terror scale. Ghalibaf and Arakchi, like a, 9.9. So sure, they're more reasonable, but they're still garbage because a Muslim Nazi is a Muslim Nazi is a Muslim Nazi. And President Trump confirmed that, 9 days ago, because he literally calls Ghalibaf and Arakchi sleazebags, right? Because he's like, we tested them, and the sleazebags failed the test. Who are the sleazebags that he's referring to? Ghalibaf and Araghchi. Okay, there you go. So now let's continue with my analysis. Okay, so now you're seeing that Ghalibaf and Araghchi are finally showing, not finally, I mean, so Ghalibaf and Araghchi are always been showing their true colors on Durka News Network, and I've shared a lot of their, translated videos, and I'm going to share some more footage, but there you go. Now, not only have they been, talking about attacking the United States on Durka News Network, but now they're openly saying it on X and, of course, in English. So this is, this is what I mean. When I say that you cannot trust the Islamic regime, you cannot negotiate with them, you cannot reason with them, you cannot repair them. If their lips are moving, they are lying. This is what I'm talking about. The only way to deal with the Islamic regime, if you want to solve the problem, you have to get rid of the Islamic regime. Okay? It's literally a cancer. And that's why I believe the reason things are escalating is because President Trump has, he's tried it all. He's tried it all. And now we're getting to the point of sort of the final showdown. I truly believe we're getting to the final showdown. I mean, unless something drastic happens and, there's some new information and indicators change. However, given everything that I'm seeing right now, we are heading towards the final showdown. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share. Now, let me get back to sort of my breaking news and analysis, and then I'm going to share some more videos and footage, because I do have a number of things that I do want to share with you guys. And I just want to thank you all for your patience in indulging me with sort of my tech difficulties or, tech, let's say low tech challenges, because I am on the road. So I don't have my usual setup with me, but I am committed to bringing my analysis and the latest breaking news here. So let's continue. So the commander of the IRGC Aerospace Force, now, oh my gosh, I can't even say this with a straight face. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the Islamic regime does have an aerospace force. I mean, whatever's left of it, right? Because the United States is pretty much destroyed whatever's left of the aerospace force. But the aerospace force, the commander of the aerospace force is here. Let me pull him up. There you go. This guy, right? Is it this guy? There you go. So supposedly, the Islamic regime has an aerospace commander. I mean, whatever's left of it, because they literally have no fighter jets left, right? Their entire air force has been destroyed. But whatever. Let's see what this Durka says. So guys, those of you who are keeping track of the Boom Boom Bingo sheet, so the aerospace force commander is here, and he apparently has a statement. So let's see what this particular Durka has to say. So he also expanded on the harsh remarks of Ghalibaf and Araghchi. And this Durka jihadi, the commander of, the destroyed aerospace force, because there's literally nothing left, he said that if our bridge, by our, he means Islamic regime, right? So he said, you know what? I would be curious to know, did he make it to the moon? Honestly, I kind of feel like the only reason that the Islamic regime actually has an aerospace force is because they just want to prove that, back in 1979, they saw Khomeini, Khabar Margish, his face on the moon. Because remember, back in 1979, during the Islamic coup d'etat, all the Durkas, they claimed that they saw Khomeini's face on the moon, right? Do you guys remember that? I've shared this before, but just in case anyone needs a reminder, and just in case we have like new viewers who think that I'm joking, I'm not. I'm literally not joking. So yeah, this is like literally a real thing, okay? So back in 1979, during the Islamic Revolution, the Durkas literally claimed that they saw Khomeini. Khomeini, remember, he is the Muslim pedophile founder of the Islamic regime. Khomeini is the one who wrote that like Durka jihadi book about, how it's halal to sodomize infant girls before the age of 9. Yeah. So they claimed that they saw this Muslim pedophile's face on the moon, and therefore the moon belongs to Islam, and they've already conquered the moon, because they saw Khomeini's face on it, and that was a sign that they also they control the world, right? Like literally, these people are literally insane. Okay, literally insane. But there you go. So they've also claimed that they've seen him on the moon. So yeah, going back to the aerospace commander. So yeah, I have a feeling that, I don't know, maybe the aerospace division of the Islamic regime was created so they can, like, I don't know, confirm or protect the fake news that, I don't know, Khomeini's face was seen on the moon. I have no idea. But anyway, so this is what this Durka person is saying. So he's saying that if the Islamic regime's bridges and power plants are attacked, then power outages for America's allies in the region will be inevitable. Again, guys, this is literally a war crime, okay? Because you can't, like, so basically, like these Durkas are openly making public threats about war crimes, okay? Because again, it is a war crime to attack civilian infrastructure during a war, during a conflict, according to the laws of armed conflict, according to the Geneva Conventions. Only military targets are legitimate targets, right? Civilian infrastructure is not a legitimate target. But these Durkas, right, like these literally, like these Muslim terrorists that are occupying Iran, are now threatening the civilian infrastructure of all of the Persian Gulf countries and the Middle Eastern countries, okay, which is literally a war crime. However, these people don't care. These people literally don't care. These are the same people who murdered over 52,000 innocent unarmed Iranians on January 8 and 9 alone, just so they can remain in power, okay? Just so they can remain in power. And the fact that these terrorists are now openly and blatantly threatening to engage in war crimes against various countries in the Persian Gulf and the Middle East, this just goes to show how desperate they are, right? So this is like some insane escalation, because we've never really seen statements like this before, okay? Now, while all of this is happening between the United States and the Islamic regime, tensions in the Middle East have also risen between the proxies of the Islamic regime and other Middle Eastern countries. So, for example, the Houthis, remember, the Houthis are another proxy of the Islamic regime. And the Houthis, right? Like when you think of like the Durka scale, the Islamic regime is like a 10 out of 10 on the Durka scale. The Houthis are like a 20 out of 20, okay? Like so the Houthis, right? Like when you think of like the stereotypical like terrorist, right? Like that's literally the Houthis. And I'm not even joking, okay? Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I'm talking about, okay? So, like literally, I'm not even joking. I'm like, this is not an exaggeration, okay? So I'm going to show this clip from Team America World Police, and then afterwards I'm going to show the Houthis. Okay, so watch this clip from Team America World Police, and then I'm going to show you the Houthis afterwards, right? So literally, like the Houthis are, whenever you think of like the, stereotypical, inbred, low IQ, right? Like Allahu Akbar, whatever, like jihadi terrorists from the Middle East, that's literally the Houthis. So watch this clip, and I'm telling you, this literally mimics real life, okay? Like this clip right here, this is like a document. This could be a documentary. Just watch this.
Durka Allah, Muhammad Jihad. Bakalah, Muhammad Jihad. Bakalah, Muhammad Jihad, Allah, Durka, Muhammad Jihad, Muhammad Jihad. Oh, shit. Come on, Gary, act. You have the power. Bak, Dirk, Allah. Durka, Muhammad Jihad. Haka Sherpa, Bakalah. Oh, Durka.
All right. There you go. So this clip from, like this amazing film, Team America World Police, one of my favorite films. This could literally be a documentary. You know why? Because here are the Houthis, okay? Here are the Houthis. Let me show you who the Houthis are, okay? Let me show you who the Houthis are. Look at this. The Houthis literally, like, they get high off of khat, right? So they literally, like, they're literally drug addicted. And then the weird part is that even though, like, they have a motto, which is like, Allahu Akbar, like death to the Jews or whatever, they literally get high and they sing Justin Bieber songs. I'm not even joking. Watch this.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Run it, baby. Run it, no. Run it, baby. Run it, no. Baby.
There you go. So literally, the Houthis, this is what they do. Like, they literally get high. Like, you can see his mouth is full of that, like, disgusting khat or whatever. They get high and they just, like, chew on their, like, weird drug. And then the other thing they do, ooh, interesting. Okay, I need to share. Wait, let me save this because I want to share this after. Sorry, guys. I just opened up my X account and something very interesting came up, but I'm going to share that in a moment. But look at this, okay? This, like, what, when they're not singing Justin Bieber songs, okay, this is what they do. Okay, so when the Houthis are not singing Justin Bieber songs, they literally just, like, get high and they do these, like, weird choreographed dances over the flag of Israel. Okay, like, literally. So when I tell you that these people are, like, the stereotypical, so whenever you think of, like, an Islamic, like a Muslim terrorist, it's the Houthis, right? They're barefoot, they're wearing these, like, long robes, they're waving guns in the air, and then they're just like literally, it's like Durka, like 20 out of 10. So just watch this.
وعدنا من بعد يكون أحوالها لا تقل ما لها بال خرجت كانها كان الذي صار ما يخطر على بالها لا تقل ما لها بال خرجت كانها كان الذي صار ما يخطر على بالها.
Oh my gosh, Omid, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Omid's like, Don't be jealous of their culture. Believe me, I'm not jealous of their culture whatsoever. But there you go. So literally, these are the Houthis, okay? And by the way, the Houthis, okay, the Houthis are funded by the Islamic regime, and the Houthis are responsible for the civil war in Yemen. Okay, so Yemen is currently going through a famine. Okay, and that famine is because the Houthis are funded by the Islamic regime, because the Islamic regime is, a foreign occupying invader. Like, they're from Iraq, or I don't know, wherever they're from. And they have not only occupied Iran, but they've occupied southern Lebanon through Hezbollah. They've occupied Yemen through the Houthis. Oh my gosh, guys, look! Oh my gosh, we have a Houthi. Guys, we have a Houthi in the chat. Guys, we have a real life Houthi in the chat who is like saying, mashallah. By the way, this is amazing because now, like, you guys get to see how insane these people are, because like I'm sharing this like insane Durka video of like a bunch of inbred Muslim terrorists, like, getting high off of their weird drug and doing like choreographed dances over the flag of Israel. And then this Houthi who's watching, he's like, mashallah. By the way, mashallah means praise Allah. So there you go. Here's more insight into, their garbage ideology, right? Literally, garbage ideology, because they're like, oh, praise Allah, praise Allah. So there you go. I mean, you can take your weird boy band and go somewhere else. But anyways, so, once in a while, I like to share troll comments, only because it gives me an opportunity to expose how insane these people are to you. And what's really interesting is that these people literally wait, like they literally wait 20 minutes. So they have to subscribe to my channel, and then they have to wait 20 minutes until they can like make one comment. And then of course they get immediately blocked. So there you go. That is what I wanted to share with that particular post. So going back to my analysis now, where was my analysis? So the Houthis today attacked 2 Saudi oil tankers, which means the likelihood is very high that Saudi Arabia is going to bomb Houthi-occupied Yemen very shortly. Now, that might have already happened. I haven't checked the breaking news. But the Houthis Minister of Defense, now keep in mind, the Houthi Minister of Defense is not the same as Yemen's Minister of Defense. Remember, like, I think it was like half a year ago, Israel boomed the leader of the Houthis, okay? And all the Durkas were like, oh no, like Israel bombed and boomed the president of Yemen. Meanwhile, the president of Yemen was alive and well, because Israel and the IDF, they were booming the leader of the Houthis, but all the Durkas were basically going, oh no, like he was a president of Yemen, and that news went viral until everyone was like, oh wait, that wasn't the president of Yemen, right? So the Houthi minister of defense, which is not the actual legitimate minister of defense, this is the interesting thing. He said, we are listening to Mujtaba's instructions, okay? So going back to the Houthis, okay? The Houthis, okay? I don't know if I have like an actual video of this, because I don't think this has made it into like this actually has here we go. Let's see, is this there you go. So this is what's being reported in Arab media that you guys are not seeing, okay? Because this is not being shared on mainstream news. So within Arab media, this news is going viral. So it's not Yemen. So this guy's a Durka. I feel like this guy's a Durka because he's saying Yemen's Houthi defense minister. It's not Yemen's it's the Houthi, right? Because Yemen, the Yemenis government has their own defense minister. This is the Houthi defense minister, which is a defense minister of the Durkas, right, that are occupying Yemen. So the Houthis have said Houthis are ready to follow Iranian Islamic regime supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei's orders. So if you needed any more proof that the Houthis are a proxy of the Islamic regime occupying Iran, there you go. Okay, there you go. So literally, even within like Arab media accounts, okay, this news is going out there that the Houthis are saying that they are loyal to the cardboard supreme dictator. So when you hear news of the Houthis attacking Saudi Arabia, that's happening on the orders of the Islamic regime occupying Iran. Okay, so there you go. That is that particular news. Now, I have been going for about an hour. I need to take a quick break just to like get updated on a few things, and I will be right back momentarily. Now, I want to share my Newsmax interview with you from earlier today. Now, here's the thing. The audio on my end wasn't the greatest, so you're going to have to like work on your mics, turn it up, turn it down a little bit, but this is really important. So just, I apologize. I'm going to see if I can get like a better quality version of this tomorrow, but this is really important. So I'm going to share this with you, and I'll be right back.
And the president of Project Sentinel and 2020 Trump campaign National Security Advisor, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, also with us this morning. Iranian-born human rights activist Goldie Ghamari. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for joining. So I want to get right out of the gate on Jody's reporting, but also the president has pushed out a post on Truth Social early this morning. He writes, "From this point forward, anytime the Islamic Republic of Iran shoots at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, whether it be by missile, rocket, drone, or any other device or weapon, the United States will bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant, including those located next to or in the capital city of Tehran." Tony, your top line thoughts on and reaction.
Well, he's been trying to avoid this, but this is something that's become a necessity to continue to degrade the IRGC, of their ability to control and sustain operations to terrorize their own people and attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So this started with the attack and destruction of the bridge that linked the main part of Iran with Bandar Abbas, their primary military naval base, and it's going to continue to expand. As much as it is regretful, because these are dual-use targets. These bridges support both commerce and military operations, but there's really no choice at this point but to start the uniform degradation of this as a capability.
But it is an escalation. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know if it's escalation, but I was going to say this will continue to degrade the ability of the IRGC to maintain internal control, which is a good thing to hopefully encourage the people of Iran to take things into their own hand and rise up against the mullahs and overthrow them.
Goldie, I would imagine you like the tough talk from President Trump on Truth Social this morning.
Absolutely, I do, except there's one thing that I think President Trump and his administration need to realize is that this tough talk, the Islamic regime does not actually care if the United States destroys the bridges or power plants, because the Islamic regime is a foreign occupying invasion occupying the Iranian people. So, just a couple of days ago, they literally hanged an 18-year-old Iranian man just because he was helping injured protesters, and President Trump actually posted about that. So when it comes to this regime threatening to destroy the power plants or the bridges, they're not going to care, because they measure success through survival. So if I had the opportunity to advise President Trump, I would say to him, don't just go after the bridges and the power plants. Go after the Islamic regime themselves. Go after, the police stations. Go after the courts. Go after the political buildings. Go after the institution itself, because the Islamic regime, they measure success through survival.
And I appreciate you bringing up the continued human rights violations. We certainly don't get enough reporting on that. We're just not able to get much of it. The Secretary of State, he's in Southeast Asia.
Guys, so listen, I'm so sorry about the sound quality because this isn't the like actual like the original one. Like this is from like I was screen recording this on my laptop, and for some reason there was some audio issues. So that's why the sound is all over the place. But you know, whenever I'm not speaking, you can lower the sound, but then whenever I start speaking, increase the sound. I'm still waiting to get like the original recording from Newsmax, but this is really important, all the stuff that I say here. So just, you know, I apologize. Just like go back and forth. Yeah, this was like I was recording this on my laptop, but it didn't catch the sound properly, so I apologize. But you know, whenever I'm speaking in this clip, if you can like just, you know, raise the volume and then lower it down again. So yeah, because if you turn up the volume, you can hear what I'm saying. So let me just continue because this is from like this morning, about maybe 12 hours ago. So I just want to continue because this is really important, everything that's happening. This doesn't have subtitles because this is just like my own like screen recording on my laptop. Like I haven't uploaded this anywhere. I'm still waiting for like the original. But anyways, let's just continue with this. And so now like, yeah, anyways, just I apologize.
For this meeting, he was asked point blank about the strait and the back and forth with Iranian leaders. Let's listen to his comments.
We'd love to reach a diplomatic settlement. We'd love to reach an agreement, if it were possible, with Iran that would ensure they never have a nuclear weapon and obviously help stop them. And we'd love to have an agreement where they say we'll no longer sponsor terrorism and we will not pursue a nuclear weapon or the things you need for a nuclear weapon. The president always prefers to negotiate and reach a deal on these things. And we're willing to do that. And we've tried to do that now for a year and a half, but we're also not going to sit by and let ships be blown up or Americans be attacked.
And therefore, you see the Trump Truth Social post a moment ago. Tony, is an agreement even possible at this point?
No, I don't believe so. I think to the point of the comments relating to leadership, IRGC and the Mullahs are a death cult. They were formed around the idea of creating the apocalypse to return the 12th Imam, their Mahdi, their form of Jesus. So if you have an entire government set up around the premise that you have to destroy the world to fulfill your religious dogma, you're never going to negotiate with it. So you've got to destroy it. And as Marco Rubio said, as Secretary Rubio said, they have continued to engage as the largest state sponsor of terror on the planet. So if you can't get them to abandon their nuclear program and you can't get them to give up terror through their proxies of Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthi, then you have the only other option is to destroy them.
Yeah. I want to get to this other headline out of the region. Today, officials have announced that the United States has reached this deal with the Saudis that would allow them to now enrich nuclear fuel. U.S. lawmakers and a lot of Israeli officials are expressing a lot of opposition to this. Goldie, your thoughts?
I think that's a terrible idea. I mean, there's a reason that we have the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And, you know, Saudi, given that it's such an oil-rich country, why would they need nuclear energy for any reason? So I personally think it's a terrible idea, but, I mean, I don't have all the details in intel. I think ultimately, you know, these countries, I mean, you have to remember, even though Saudi Arabia claims to be an ally of the United States, they still sent a delegation to Khamenei's funeral. So ask yourselves, why are all these so-called allies of the United States sending delegations to the funeral of the supreme dictator, you know, the war criminal that President Trump, you know, exterminated? And, you know, thank God, and, you know, God bless America for doing that. But yet you see delegations from Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, like all these countries that claim to be the allies of the United States, they actually went to Tehran to pay their respects to this dead war criminal. So, I mean, that to me, that's why I think it's a terrible idea.
Tony, she raises a really good point. History is littered with once allies turned enemies, you know, we're later in combat fighting against our own military weaponry because we thought they were allies at one point. Your thoughts?
So a reminder, the 9/11 hijackers were all Saudi. And there were some very severe, as I mentioned, I just kind of badmouthed the Shia, which are the Iranians. The Sunni have their own problem with extreme radical Islamic sects. ISIS was Sunni. So anytime you start looking at how weapons, how uranium can be enriched, that enrichment process is a path to a weapons process. So we have to be very reticent of who and how we allow these technologies to be developed.
Yeah, and I think Americans are waking up this morning kind of scratching their head. Wait, aren't we fighting a war right now to eradicate the region from nuclear proliferation, and then we cut this deal? I don't know. I guess we'll continue unpacking it as we get more details of this deal in the days ahead. The U.S. military, of course, now carrying out this 11th consecutive day of strikes. The president ratcheting up the rhetoric through Truth Social a moment ago. Israeli intelligence is suggesting that the regime has moved these centrifuges, now Goldie, to use enrich uranium at Pickaxe Mountain here. You're familiar with this terrain. This is an area that international inspectors were not able to assess previously. They're deep in the tunnels, we understand, of Pickaxe there. Your thoughts on this?
Well, as a former Canadian politician, who was, kind of involved in the energy and nuclear file in Ontario at one point, what I can say is that no one builds a secret underground facility for peaceful purposes. It literally doesn't happen. So, we don't know what's happening underground, but what I can tell you is that I guarantee you, whatever it is, it's not for peaceful purposes. Anyone who claims that they're, doing that is either lying or they have no idea what they're talking about. This is exactly the same thing that the Islamic regime did with the 3 other underground nuclear facilities. They've also created underground facilities for nuclear weapons testing. So, the way that I see this is just, destroy it, bomb it, get rid of it, because you don't build things underground secretly for peaceful purposes.
Yeah, Tony, if they're moving centrifuges to Pickaxe, I mean, that can't be good. Inspectors know Natanz well. They don't know much about Pickaxe. What are we up against?
So, well, President Trump said, well, he's not that worried about centrifuges. I am, because centrifuges, are the technology you need. And his premise, President Trump's premise, is, well, they don't have the material now. So, well, I don't necessarily trust that. As my old friend Don Rumsfeld said, there are known unknowns, and this is a known unknown. We know that there's something we don't know, and we have to treat it with a great deal of interest to confirm or destroy whatever they're doing. So I agree. If this is a deep underground complex that we didn't have access to, you got to treat it as a worst case scenario. And I don't for a minute believe that we got all of their enriched uranium. The Iranians have been hiding stuff from the IAEA for a decade. So I don't believe for a minute that this is just a little botanical garden they put in the middle of a mountain to create good agrarian conditions future. So no, we need to bomb it.
Yeah, 250.
So yeah, guys, again, so this was my interview from earlier today. Again, I apologize for the sound issue because I was recording my screen while I was doing my interview. I guess there was like some sort of technical difficulty on my end because my volume was very, very low. So like I'm waiting for Newsmax to send me the like actual clip, because the actual clip, the audio is all the same, right? But I still want to share this with you anyway, because what Lieutenant Colonel Schaefer here, what Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer here said was absolutely hilarious. And I very rarely like lose my cool on like an interview, but when he said like, they're not building a botanical garden underground, I literally lost it. I was like, oh no. Right? Because I was agreeing. And then like when he said that, I was like, behind the scenes. And I don't know, they brought me back on because I'm just like, oh my God, like I was dying. Like, you know what? I actually do have a regret. I regret not like saying, Well, I don't think they're building a botanical garden. They might be building a kebab stand, right? But anyway, so there you go. So Newsmax caught me when I was like laughing about the botanical garden comments. Anyways, here you go. So funny.
Enriched uranium. The Iranians have been hiding stuff from the IAEA for a decade. So I don't believe for a minute that this is just a little botanical garden they put in the middle of a mountain to create good agrarian conditions future. So no, we need to bomb it.
Yeah. 250 feet deep. There's a lot of room and a lot of space to hide plenty. Yeah. Colonel Tony Shaffer, Goldie Ghamari, great conversation. Thanks for your time today. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
This new pool.
There you go. So that was my interview from earlier today. So guys, literally, since Friday, okay, so since Friday, even though I've been on the road, I have literally made a commitment because when the Iranian Revolution started on December 28th, I made a commitment that I will always try to make myself as much available as I possibly can. So even though right now I'm on the road, I have literally done whatever I can to get myself to a place where I can do media interviews, because since Friday, so I did a media interview on Friday, I did a media interview on Saturday, I did a media interview on Monday, Tuesday, and today, Wednesday. So that's literally Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 5. I've done 5 interviews in the last 6 days, and I'm not complaining because you know what? It's literally an honor for me. It's an honor for me to be able to do this. And what I've always said is I will always be a voice for the Iranian people. And today's interview was very fun. And I honestly, I don't think I've ever been on an interview with Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, but I really appreciated everything he said, because everything that he said I pretty much agreed with, right? He was on the mark with this, and he was like, you got to destroy them, and I'm literally behind the scenes, backstage, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm literally he can't see me, but I'm just nodding, and I'm like, yeah. So everything he said, totally agreed with him 100%. So there you go. That's sort of my interview from today, but I digress. Let me go back to my analysis now, because I want to continue with sort of what is going on and my thoughts on everything. So the last place that I left off, it was, of course, I was speaking about the Houthis and how literally insane they are and how they're controlled by the Islamic regime. And the Houthi Minister of Defense said that, we are listening to Mojtaba's instructions. Of course, Mojtaba is the cardboard supreme dictator. We don't know if he's alive or dead or, whatever, right? Now, here's the thing. So, getting more into the breaking news. Over the past several hours, the Americans have once again bombed IRGC sites, okay? Now, let's go to the latest breaking news from my favorite, and most reliable OSINT account, Shin. So, let's see what Shin is saying about the latest breaking news, okay? And we're going to explore the latest breaking news together because I haven't seen what's been happening in the last few hours. So, an hour ago, blast in Josk, Hormozgan province. Southern Tehran, smoke pillar visible. Wow, look at that. So, Tehran is a capital city of Iran. You can see a smoke pillar. Now, jet activity over western Tehran, blast in Bushehr. That was 2 hours ago. Deputy Governor of Khuzestan. Khuzestan is, of course, a province that I am from. 2 killed in U.S. attack on Shalamche border. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so guys, the Shalom. Okay, let me pull this up on a map. Okay. So, guys, the Shalamche border crossing is basically the border crossing between Iran and Iraq, okay? Now, here's the thing. A lot of the Islamic regimes, Iraqi, Arab terrorist proxy forces, they come to occupied Iran through the Shalamche Iraqi-Iranian border crossing, okay? And now we're getting news that 2 were killed in the U.S. attack on Shalamche border crossing, and the target was the border police of the Islamic regime. Well, if that's the case, thank you, America. God bless America. Please continue booming them, because this, you know what? Like, let me show you what the the kinds of terrorists, that come to Iran through the Iraqi border crossing, okay? Let me show you, right? Literally, the most garbage people, okay? Literally the garbage terrorists. Where is it? Why is this not happening? Okay. Where is this? Wait. Where's the video of like that guy that's like the terrorist, right? اون آشغاله با اون ریش گندش کی بود؟ ویدیوش کجاست؟ نمیتونم پیداش بکنم. Wait. I'm gonna find it. Give me one moment. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Wait, one moment. I'm gonna find it. Oh yeah, it's this guy. It's this guy, right? So okay. I found it. So, you know, again, so the United States targeting the Shalamche Iran-Iraq border and booming, allegedly a couple of, Iranian, they mean Islamic regime, border crossing police officers or whatever. Good. I'm glad. Do it again. Hit them harder. You know why? Because these are the kinds of Durka jihadi terrorists that those same border police allow to come into occupied Iran to murder Iranians who are literally fighting for freedom against the Islamic regime. Okay? Oh my gosh, look at this. I have like some Durkas who are claiming that I live in like some random country. Anyways, I blocked that person, but wow, guys, oh my gosh. My live stream tonight is literally full of trolls. Guys, this is a good sign. Okay, this is a good sign. Let me tell you something. whenever, so for those of you who are paying attention to the live stream, whenever my live stream becomes, full of trolls and they're attacking me or whatever, that is a good sign. That is basically telling you that the Islamic regime is scared, because they are so scared that they're literally coming to my tiny little YouTube channel to attack me. They're scared. They're scared, right? Because they literally spend billions of dollars a year for their jihadi, Durka, Allahu Akbar garbage propaganda. And, me with my little, laptop and webcam and, low tech based whatever, we're threatening them. But here you go. So these are the Iraqi terrorists that the Islamic regime brings into occupied Iran to murder Iranians, okay? And they even made a video, right? So basically, these are literally Arabs, okay? These are Arab Iraqis, okay? Like, these are not Iranians. And these garbage Arab Iraqi terrorists, they say, with the Islamic Republic of Iran, no more and no less against the vile Zionists, right? And by the way, right, like they're posting in Arabic. I'm Iranian. I don't read Arabic. I don't understand Arabic, but I do see like Iran, okay? So all I know is I see Iran here, okay? So they're literally speaking about Iran in one way or another. And then, and then I know this one. Okay, no, you know what? I actually, I can understand this. So here, they're saying Zidde al-Sahayne or something, right? So basically, they're like against the Zionists. Zidde. So this letter, wait, you know what? Let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay. Arabic 101 with Goldie Ghamari, even though I don't speak Arabic, but there are certain words that I can understand. Let me get rid of the chat here. Let me get rid of the chat so that you guys can see this, okay? Here you go. Okay, so Arabic 101 with Goldie Ghamari. So this word is zid, okay? So this letter here, the first one, that's the Z. Z. And then this letter is a D. So zidde. And then in Arabic, whenever you have like a word that's a noun, you have to put al in front of it. It's like a grammatical rule in Arabic. So, however, here's the rule. And I remember this from when I took Arabic 101 in university like 20 years ago. And I literally took Arabic. Guys, I took Arabic 101 in university because Arabic 101 was like, the final exam was like, write this number in Arabic. And because Arabic numbers are the same as like Persian numbers, I literally didn't have to go to class or study, and I got like 98%, right? So there you go. Anyway, so, and it was like, what's the letter for D in Arabic? And because it's like the same thing, I just, you're just able to do it anyway. So it was, one of the, how like some people take like, easy courses to just like, get like 100% to like increase their GPA. Yeah, that was basically what I did with Arabic 101. Anyway, so the one grammatical rule that I remember about Arabic is that every noun has al in front of it, right? So this letter here, that's A. And then this letter here, okay, this letter here is L, okay? So this together is right here, AL. Now here's the grammatical rule. If you have a noun at the beginning of a sentence, you pronounce the L. If the noun is in the middle of a sentence, the AL is silent, okay? So that's why like a lot of, Arabic nouns have like L in front of it, because it's like L whatever. But when it's in the middle of a sentence, the L is silent. So here they're saying Zidde, the al is silent, so it's like Zidde Sahoyne, which is like against the Zionists, okay? And then here, this is Iran, but this isn't spelled the Iranian way. This is spelled the Arabic way because they have like this, weird vowel at the bottom of the A that we don't have in Persian, okay? So essentially what's happening here is that the Iraqi Durka terrorists, right? Like, remember, this is back on January 8th. So keep in mind, January 8th is when the Islamic regime began its mass slaughter of Iranians, right? So remember, on January 8 and 9, the Islamic regime, they brought in their, Arab, Muslim, proxy, non-Iranian terrorist forces to mass murder Iranians. So on January 8 and 9, over 54,000 innocent unarmed Iranians were murdered. Who did the murdering? These people. Aside from the Islamic regime occupying Iran, they brought in their garbage Durka inbred Arab jihadi terrorists from Iraq. And they weren't hiding the fact, guys, because literally on January 8, this garbage terrorist, this garbage terrorist from Iraq, Najaf, I don't know what garbage town he's from. He's somewhere like from garbage, whatever. Basically, like he worships the dead Arab warlords, right? So he literally posts this like video about how like they're all going to come to Iran to protect the Islamic regime and murder Iranians, okay? So literally the Muslim Nazis on January 8 are openly putting out propaganda videos about how they're going to murder Iranians, okay? Watch this. Like it's insane. Like it's absolutely disgusting. Disgusting, right? So when we Iranians tell you that we are occupied by Muslim Nazi invaders from, like third world hellholes like Iraq or wherever, we're not exaggerating, because these are literally the Iraqi Muslims who are occupying Iran. And don't forget, Abbas Araghchi, right? Abbas Araghchi, this guy, right? His last name, Araghchi. Who remembers what his last name means? Because I said this earlier in my live stream. Pop quiz time. What does Araghchi mean? Who's going to get it first? No, Iranians, you can't answer. There you go. Exactly. There you go. Yes. Oh my gosh, we have such an amazing chat. Look at this. Nathaniel from Iraq. Neelarine from Iraq. Visitor Clock-in from Iraq. Enigma from Iraq. Fadi, Iraqi. Yes, Iraqi. You're Iranian. Taghalobi. That's okay. Amir, made in Iraq. From Iraq. Exactly. See, guys, from Iraq. Little Iraq. From Iraq. Exactly. See? Oh my gosh. We have such a high IQ chat. Guys, honestly, can I just say, I am so blessed that we have such an amazing high IQ chat. Thank you to all of you. Like, you guys are amazing. But yes, so this is what I mean when I say that this is a foreign Muslim Nazi occupation. Because remember, on January 8, the Iraqi terrorists, right? This is where the Islamic regime comes from. They come from like, some Karbala, Najaf, I don't know, whatever garbage place the dead Arab warlords come from, right? On January 8, the day that the massacre against the Iranian people started, the Iraqi Muslim terrorists were making videos about how they are coming to occupied Iran to protect the Islamic regime. Who are they protecting the Islamic regime from? The Iranian people. Because keep in mind, the United States and Israel, they did not start their attacks, their boom booms against the Islamic regime until February 28. Okay, so this video made back on January 8 was to essentially intimidate and threaten the Iranian people, right? Because the garbage Iraqi terrorists are saying we are coming to Iran to protect the Islamic regime from the Iranian people. So watch this. By the way, the music is Arabic. I don't understand Arabic. I don't know what they're saying. It's like some Allahu Akbar Durka jihadi garbage, right? You know what? Actually, I probably can't even play like the audio here because it's probably copyrighted. That's actually one of the things I've noticed. When it comes to like a lot of the Durka songs, guys, the Durka songs are so incredibly copyrighted. It's absolutely wild because whenever I try to like share a video with like some sort of like Durka garbage jihadi song, I get a copyright strike. So you know what? Since the Durkas don't want me to play their Durka jihadi music, I'm just going to mute the audio and I'm just going to add my own audio that's not copyrighted, right? So here you go. There you go. So, I mean, they wanted their own Durka jihadi music, but of course we have to improve it because, Durka, like it's all garbage, right? Now, here's the thing. Yeah. So, let me share some info with you about this, like, Durka jihadi, right? Just because, you guys need to understand. When I say that the Islamic regime is like they're garbage Iraqi terrorists, I'm literally not exaggerating. So this guy who's pretending to be like, oh, he's a big deal, blah, 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 right? Like, his name is Abu Azrael, I guess. I don't know, like, and then literally, so the reason that his nickname is the Angel of Death is because he is known for murdering innocent people, right? So again, like this is how crazy these people are, right? So, you want to import Iraqis into your country, do so at your own risk. Do so at your own risk. I mean, and when I say Iraqis, I'm not referring to like the Assyrians or like the Christian Iraqis or the Iraqi minorities, right? Like I'm literally talking about like the Shia Muslim Iraqis, right? Like the Durkas, right? The Durkas. So yeah, like literally, wow, right? Shia Muslim. Anyway, like they're all literally terrorists, right? He's viewed as a symbol of, so listen, like this is how insane the Durkas are. Remember, if the Durka, yeah, exactly. Yes, this is what I mean. Like, I'm not referring to the Assyrian people, right? Because here's the thing. The Assyrians, okay, the Assyrians are the original people who lived in what is now modern day Iraq, okay? The Assyrians are not the ones that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Durkas, right? The vast majority of Assyrian people have been persecuted by these sorts of like this garbage Durka Iraqi, right? And I make a distinction between the Assyrians and the Iraqis, because the Assyrians, they're not Arab, right? Assyrian people are not Arab. The Assyrian people, they're the descendants of what is it? Babylon, or whatever it was back in the day. Sorry, let me just look this up. Sorry guys, it's been a long night. I know I've spoken about this before, but the Assyrian people, okay? Yeah, Mesopotamia. That's what I was thinking of. So the Assyrian people, okay? I want to make this very clear. I've spoken about the Assyrian people before, okay? But the Assyrians are like basically descendants of ancient Mesopotamia, okay? They come from Mesopotamia, they come from Babylon, okay? Remember, the original people in the Middle East, okay, whether they're from Iraq or Syria or Lebanon, or Israel or Iran, we're not Arab, okay? The people in Persia were Iranian. The people in Iraq were Assyrian, okay? Even Egyptians were not originally Arab, okay? So you have to make a distinction between the original people from the area versus the Arab Muslim jihadi colonizers, okay? And the exact same way that Iran was occupied by the Arab Muslim occupiers, other regions were as well. Now, the difference is that when it comes to Iran, we were conquered, but we weren't colonized. So they weren't able to erase our language per se, okay? But when it comes to a lot of various, cultures in the Middle East, unfortunately, the Arab Muslim invaders were able to either, exactly. Chaldean and Assyrian are Christian. Yes. So the Assyrian people and the Chaldeans, they are Christian, right? Because remember, before the Arab Muslim colonizers came to the Middle East, the vast majority of the Middle East was actually Christian, aside from Israel, which was, Jewish, and Iran, which was Zoroastrian, okay? So there are a lot of persecuted minorities in Iraq because of the Durkas, okay? So yes, so to where did that comment go? I think I was sharing it, but then where is it? I want to pull this up because I have spoken about Assyrians in the past. Where was it? Yes, the Assyrian Empire, because I think, Fadi, you're the one who said that you are, where is it, guys? Oh my gosh. Oh my God. There you go. See, look at this, guys. You know what? Can I just say, guys, everyone, give a shout out to Fadi and the Assyrian people, because, I've always said the Iranian people's fight for freedom against the Islamic regime, it's not just about us, because a free Iran is good for the entire region, because all of these various areas, right, whether it's Iraq, right, Iraq is being colonized by these Shia Muslim, and this is why, guys, I say Durka. You know why I say Durka? Because Durka is an ideology. Durka is that terrorist jihadi ideology. Durka is not an ethnicity, it's not a language, it's not a religion, right? And as you can see, we have so many people from the Middle East who are watching, who are rooting for Iranian freedom. Why? Because a free Iran is good for everywhere. Because all of this trouble in the Middle East started when the Durkas occupied Iran in 1979. Okay? And now the Durkas are occupying the Assyrians and the Chaldeans and the Christians in Iraq, right? So keep that in mind. So when I talk about the Iraqi terrorists, I'm not referring to the Assyrians, because the Assyrians, they're a separate and distinct identity. And the Assyrian identity existed long before Islam was invented, the exact same way that the Iranian identity existed long before Islam was invented. This is very important to keep in mind. So yes, we are supporting all of the Middle Eastern minorities, especially because the Assyrians and the Chaldeans have been heavily persecuted by the Shia Muslims, the same Durkas that are persecuting the Iranian people. So Fadi, we love you, we support you, and Javid Shah, thank you. You know what? God bless the Assyrians, and let me see. Yeah, the Assyrian Empire. Yes, absolutely. And, guys, make Assyria great again. You're right. I mean, Goldie's always right, but there you go. That's okay. But yeah, no, but you know what? I do appreciate Javid Shah. Thank you so much. See? You see that, guys? Like this is the thing. People think, this is the thing. People assume that like the Middle East is like this one just just one identity. We're not. Oh wait, what is this? We love you, Goldie and Joby Shop. Oh my gosh, I love you guys too. I love you guys too. I actually have a lot of Assyrian friends, and listen, we're all fighting. We're all fighting the same fight. We have to get rid of this cancer. Like, okay, Fadi, you're from Iraq. Where do we send them to? Right? Because these people have literally conquered Karbala and Najaf, right? And they basically say that Karbala and Najaf is like, where their dead Arab warlords come from. But Karbala and Najaf, like, those are not like where the Arabs come from. So what do? Do we send them back to Mecca? Like, I don't know. You tell me, Fadi, because they claim they're from Karbala and Najaf, and then the rest of us are like, these places have existed for like thousands of years before Islam was invented. So I don't know, man. It's a problem. We when Iran is free, we should all like have like a convention and be like, where do we send their remains to? I don't know, man, right? Like, we'll send them to like, yeah, sure. You know what? No. We can't, guys, we can't send it to Pakistan because Pakistan belongs to India. Remember, Pakistan is a fake country. Pakistan is literally one of the fakest countries in the world because Pakistan doesn't exist. Pakistan should go back to India. I don't know. You know what? We'll send them back to Saudi Arabia. We'll send them back to like Mecca or Medina or wherever. No, we can't send them to the moon. Qatar, yeah. You know what? We'll send them to Qatar. We'll send all their like, remains to Qatar, and then they can just do whatever they want with them, right? And then, we'll make the Middle East great again. We'll do that. So there you go. But yes, guys, the Assyrians, another heavily persecuted people. And by the way, prior to 1970, no, we can't send them to Gaza. We can't do that because Gaza is also another fake area. Gaza actually belongs to Israel, right? So remember, Judea and Samaria and Gaza, that all belongs to Israel. So we can't do Israel dirty like that because Israel's also trying to get rid of their Durkas, right? So we'll send them to I don't know, Qatar. We'll send them to Qatar. And that's what we'll do. By the way, I just want to say, imagine if this napkin was a square. Stop. So imagine if like this napkin was a square, and this square is Saudi Arabia. We're just going to send all the Durkas to this square because the square is Saudi Arabia. There you go. A little inside joke there for those who get that. But anyway, so yeah, but I just want to say that Assyrian people have also been heavily persecuted by the Muslim Nazis. And prior to 1979, when the Islamic regime took over, and occupied Iran, many Assyrians actually escaped wherever they were from and sought refuge in Iran, because in Iran they had freedom of religion. Okay, so the same way that many Jewish people in the Middle East fled persecution by coming to Iran before 1979, same thing with Assyrian people, and also Armenian people. So during the Armenian genocide, thousands of Armenian people came to Iran to escape the Armenian genocide by the Muslims in Turkey. So just want to point that out, right? So yeah, that's really important. And thank you so much, Fadi, for mentioning that, because yes, we support everyone who is fighting persecution from the Muslim Nazis, all the minorities in the Middle East, and of course that includes our wonderful Syrian community. And I just want to say, for many of you, if you don't hear a lot about, the Syrian cause or, Assyrian people in general, that's because the Syrian population is actually quite small. Okay. There's only really about maybe like guys, the global Assyrian population is somewhere between 3 million to 5 million people. Like that's it. That's it. Okay. So that's why, many of us who are from the Middle East, but who are not Assyrian, we do make a point of speaking out, because it is a very, very small population, right? Like 3 to 5 million. That's literally nothing, right? So I really do feel like it is the responsibility of all of us, especially those of us who are from the Middle East, whenever we're speaking about human rights and freedom of religion and whatever the case might be, never forget the Assyrian people, because they are a very, very small community. And so there's a very, very important poem. This poem was written by so this poem is written by Sadi, right? And Sadi is a very famous Iranian poet, and it's a poem about human rights. Okay, and the poem is called Bani Adam, and Bani Adam means children of humanity. And the poem says, Bani Adam اعضای یک پیکرند که در آفرینش ز یک گوهرند، تو که از منت دیگران بیغمی، نشاید که نامت نهند آدمی. Which basically means children of the children of humanity are members of a whole, in essence of one creation and soul. If one member is afflicted with pain, the other members uneasy will remain. If you have no sympathy for human pain, then the name of human you cannot retain. Very famous poem. And, one of the things that I live my life by. So just wanted to share that as well. All right, so let me get back to my analysis really quickly, and then we are going to have to call it a night because I'm going a little bit later than usual. However, I just spoke about the boom booms in the border, right? And so I believe that the reason that the boom booms and the bombings are happening in the border region is because the United States is now preventing the Iraqi militias of the the Iraqi militias of the Islamic regime from trying to come into occupied Iran. Why? Because the last time the Iraqi militias came to occupied Iran, they participated in the mass slaughter of the Iranian people. Okay? So, there have been boom booms in Ahvaz, in Sirik, in Qishm Island, and the Strait of Hormuz. Okay? Now, here's the thing. The Islamic regime is still trying to boom boom Americans. They've sent some, missiles to Kuwait, which was, of course, intercepted. The Islamic regime also sent missiles to Bahrain. That was also intercepted. They've also, once again, tried to send boom booms to Jordan. That was intercepted. But here's the thing. The Islamic regime has now gone into a pattern, okay? So the pattern of the Islamic regime's attacks has pretty much been the same, okay? Every single day, the Islamic regime has the same pattern. They strike Kuwait, they strike Bahrain, and they strike Jordan. Now, Saudi Arabia did get a warning, but it's still not really clear what happened. So we're going to have to wait like another 24 hours because it's the fog of war to see like what was happening in Saudi Arabia. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that the U.S. House of Representatives today approved an additional $95 billion in defense just a few hours ago, which means this gives President Trump the ability to continue the strikes against the Islamic regime with greater financial resources. And keep in mind, because President Trump is not calling what's happening a war, okay? He's not calling it a war, which means he's getting around the technicality of Congress and the Democrats trying to prevent him from destroying the Islamic regime. Okay? What's also interesting is that apparently, according to some media outlets, the head of Mossad traveled to the United States and met with the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, and American officials. Now, apparently, this meeting between the head of Mossad and the head of CIA happened a few days ago, but we're only getting news of this right now, today. There's a reason that this news is leaking today, because this means that President Trump wants the world to know that the Mossad and the CIA are in communication, and that communication is continuing. Okay? Meanwhile, in occupied Iran, the Islamic regime is continuing its propaganda. They're showing, state-sponsored banners and images, where they're basically calling for the extermination of President Trump, and they're saying, prepare for death. Okay? Now, keep in mind, these sorts of things do actually impact President Trump. This isn't the first time that the Islamic regime has threatened President Trump. In fact, this isn't even the first time that the Islamic regime has tried to assassinate President Trump. Not only has the Islamic regime tried to assassinate President Trump 2 times, just a few months ago, FBI Director Kash Patel came out and said that they arrested an Iraqi terrorist, like an Iraqi Shia Muslim terrorist, who was trying to assassinate his daughter, Ivanka Trump, at the orders of the Islamic regime. right? So President Trump, I think he's on notice, right? Like he's in the process of doing something, right? And this is why the pressure from the United States is increasing on the Islamic regime. Okay? The Islamic regime is just continuing with their empty threats. But you know who's not giving an empty threat is the Americans. They are not giving empty threats. They are continuing. And I just want to end off with a few posts from President Trump on his Truth Social, because these posts, okay, when I look at these posts, aside from, let me put it this way. When I give my geopolitical analysis, I try to look at it objectively. I put my human emotions aside and, I put on my objective hat and my geopolitical hat, and I go into politician mode, and I give you my neutral analysis. But at the end of the day, I'm human, right? Like behind the politician mask, I'm still human. That's the same thing with President Trump. At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, President Trump is human, just like you, just like me. And any normal, rational, logical, compassionate, empathetic, sane human being, when we see innocent people being murdered, that affects us. That impacts us, okay? And this is what I want to end off with. I want to end off with a number of screenshots that President Trump shared on his Truth Social, okay? And aside from the geopolitical analysis, aside from the military commentary, aside from, all of the other stuff that's happening, when I look at President Trump's human response, right? Not his political response, his human response to the crimes against humanity by the Islamic regime against the innocent Iranian people. This is why I think we're in the end game. So let me share these images and then I'll explain why. So President Trump shared this screenshot yesterday. This is 23-year-old Gul Mohammad Mohammadi. He was executed by the Islamic regime this morning, alone, innocent. What's even more heartbreaking about Gul Mohammad Mohammadi is that he was not Iranian. Gul Mohammad Mohammadi was Afghan. And he came to Iran because he wanted to escape the Taliban. He came to Iran because he wanted to live a better life. And on January 8 and 9, when Iranians were going out to protest the Islamic regime, Gul Mohammad Mohammadi, who was Afghan, he could have stayed at home and he could have very easily said, this is not my problem. I'm not Iranian, I'm Afghan. I don't have to go out. I don't have to get involved. Why should I risk my life for Iran? And yet, even though he was not Iranian, he chose to go out. Remember, if he had chosen to stay at home, he would be alive today. But this Afghan man, He chose to go out and support his Iranian brothers and sisters, even though he didn't have to. He chose to stand up for freedom and democracy. And he paid for that decision with his life. Gul Mohammad Mohammadi is an Iranian hero, just like all the other Iranian heroes. He is one of our Javidnoms. This is also a really important reminder for everyone watching that when we talk about various countries and their durkas and their terrorists, we're literally referring to the terrorists. We're not talking about the real people. Because Gul Mohammad Mohammadi is a real Afghan, right? And remember, Afghanistan, before the communist invasion, they were modernizing. They had a Shah as well. And that Shah was taken away from them. Why do you think right now, we Iranians, we are literally saying that we only want our Shah to transition Iran from an Islamic dictatorship to a secular, functioning, democratic society? We don't trust anyone else. Because Afghanistan, they had their Zahir Shah. And that was taken away from them. And then the Taliban came and turned Afghanistan into a hellhole even worse than occupied Iran. And the reason that freedom-fighting Afghans support the Iranian people is because they know that a free Iran will also liberate Afghanistan from the Taliban. So yes, Gul Mohammad Mohammadi, an Afghan immigrant to Iran, he could have stayed home. He could have stayed at home. He could have said, this is not my problem. He chose to join our fight, and he paid the ultimate price. The Islamic regime murdered him. And here's the thing. The Islamic regime murdered him because they were banking on the fact that Iranians are not going to speak out about him or raise awareness because, oh, he's Afghan, he's not Iranian, right? Like the Islamic regime, here's the thing. The Islamic regime has been putting out this divide and conquer narrative, right? The Islamic regime has been trying to pit Iranians against one another based on ethnicity or religion or whatever, right? So they thought that if they execute this innocent Afghan man, that we're not going to be upset, that we're not going to speak out, that we're not going to share his name or his image, okay? But we are. And the Islamic regime miscalculated this. If anything, we are speaking out even louder about Gul Mohammad Mohammadi because we don't know where his family is. We don't know what's going on. But it is our responsibility and our duty to raise awareness about every single hero of Iran. And Gul Mohammad Mohammadi, he is a hero of Iran. And we will be his voice. And we will make sure that the Islamic regime does not erase his identity or his memory. So I wanted to point that out. And President Trump posted this image on his Truth Social. Okay. And then, of course, this one, President Trump also posted this picture of 18-year-old Irfan. Okay. Irfan was executed at the same time as Gul Mohammad Mohammadi, right? This is Irfan. This is 18-year-old Irfan. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The president of the United States, okay, the president of the United States, the fact that he is posting screenshots and images of young Iranian people murdered by the Islamic regime, okay? He doesn't have to do that, right? Like, I have never, ever seen any other president of the United States post images of Iranians murdered by the Islamic regime. Now we have to, okay, I have to like get rid of my emotions and put on my geopolitical hat, right? So, the fact that the president of the United States is sharing images of young Iranians murdered by the Islamic regime while the United States military is literally booming the IRGC to hell, right back where they belong. That is what is making me believe and lead to think that President Trump is done. He's done with the Islamic regime, and he just wants to get rid of them. He just wants to get rid of them. And that brings me to this post, right? Because President Trump, he also shared this post. It's, it's an AI post, but of course, it conveys the message, right? So this is an Iranian woman who's crying, and she's holding a sign that says, "Stop killing us." And behind that, you can see the flag of the Islamic regime, right? That's the garbage Allahu Akbar flag of the Muslim Nazis occupying Iran, right? So this image, right? It's basically Iranians, right? Iranians who are saying to the Islamic regime, "Stop killing us." And President Trump posted this, which means President Trump knows. He knows about what's happening. And the murder of Irfan, this has actually affected us very, very much, right? Like this is just like, guys, he was only 18. He was only 18. And his crime. So some people are asking, like, what was his crime? His crime was holding a door open so that injured Iranian protesters could come into the house, and then he closed the door. So CCTV cameras caught his face. So 18-year-old Irfan's crime was holding a door open so that injured Iranian protesters could escape the Muslim Nazis that were shooting at them during the January 8 and 9 massacre. And according to Islam, that is a crime punishable by death. He was hanged. He was hanged. Hanged for the crime of opening a door. Yeah, well, welcome to the nightmare that we Iranians have had for 47 years. Okay. I just wanted to, yeah. So that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. So, okay, let me go to your questions and comments, and then I'm going to call it a night. But yes, based on everything that I am seeing so far, my analysis is that President Trump is going towards the end game. And I have a feeling that based on everything that we are seeing, we're getting to the point of no, I mean, hindsight is 2020, right? Hindsight is 2020. I don't know if we've already breached the point of no return or crossed the point of no return. If we haven't already done so, I would say we're getting very close. We won't actually know what the point of no return is, until after it happens, because that's just how these things work. But again, if all indicators remain as they are, then my analysis pretty much remains unchanged, which is that we're getting into the end game if we are not already in the end game. And, the other really important point here is that His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran and the current leader of Iran's National Lion and Sun Revolution, his statement earlier today, where he was saying to the Iranian people, start getting ready because we're getting to the final battle. His team also thinks that the end game might possibly be near. Now, if you want to know more about that, I actually do an in-depth analysis of his speech on Iran Revolution Live earlier today, day 195. So make sure you go check out day 195, because I do a deep dive into his statement. You don't want to miss that, because that gives you a lot of background info and intel. Okay, but let me go to your questions and comments, and then we'll call it a night. So Shaheen says, don't want to drag from your sister's live stream. Been to Iran and love our culture. Karim Khan Zand dynasty is my choice, but fight for freedom. Ale Montreal. I have no idea who Karim Khan Zand dynasty is, but that sounds like a weird. What is that? What is that like? Yeah. So your dynasty, I think your choice is terrible. Because I think like you've probably forgotten about history. I would suggest that you educate yourself by going and learning about how the Pahlavi dynasty came to power. Because so for everyone else, for everyone else who is tuning in, let me just sorry, I have to bring this up because this is actually a very good example. Okay, so let me pull this up. Yeah, okay. So I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to bring this up again. Okay, so I don't know if so you know what, let me just share this as an example. So I don't actually know if this person is part of the Islamic regime or not. I mean, they could be like a progressive leftist. This person could be part of the MEK. This person could just be like an idiot. I don't know. But what they're saying in this statement here, this is pretty much what like people who support the Islamic regime say. Okay, so this is a very, very common tactic for the Islamic regime. And I'll explain why. Okay, so, and for everyone else, this is a very important lesson when it comes to identifying the enemies of Iran. Okay, so a lot of people who are anti-Iranian, like they might be agents of the Islamic regime. They might be the MEK, they might be the left, who knows what they are, right? But they will always put some sort of comment like this one right here. And the only reason I'm sharing this is because, again, this is a learning lesson for you, okay? So they're like, oh, we hate the Islamic regime, but we hate Pahlavi. We want the Shah, but we want a different dynasty, right? So, what? Like, what does this even mean, right? So this guy who's literally, so he's like this guy's an enemy of Iran, okay? And this guy actually spent like $10 just to like, because he thought he could fool me, and he thought that like by sharing this message that, I don't know my history. Because here's the thing you guys have to remember. A lot of these like Durkas and a lot of these like Islamic jihadi terrorists, right? They assume that just because I was raised in Canada and just because I speak English with no accent, they just assume that I literally know nothing about Iran or Iranian history, right? ولی خب نمیدونم چی بگم، یعنی با اینکه بعضی وقتا خب میدونم لهجه دارم، حالا شاید زبون فارسیم اون زیاد خوب نباشه، ولی خب این نیست که من نمیفهمم، این نیست که من تاریخ کشورم رو نمیدونم. Okay, like من خیلی مطالعه کردم. So these Durkas make the mistake of thinking that just because I don't speak Persian as fluently as they do, that they can just like fool me with comments like this. So let me share with you what this comment means. This is a very common tactic for the Islamic regime and their supporters. So what the Islamic regime will say and what their supporters will say is, oh, we're against the Islamic regime. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we want the monarchy back, but not the Pahlavi dynasty. We want some other Pahlavi dynasty, right? Initially, they went with the Qajar dynasty. The Qajar dynasty is absolute garbage, right? Remember, Mossadegh. Remember, like everyone talks about the 1953 coup with Mossadegh. Mossadegh was a Qajar prince, okay? So the 1953 coup was essentially the Qajars trying to sneakily take over from the Pahlavi dynasty. Now, this Durka is like, oh, my fight for freedom is the Zand dynasty. Like, and I'm like looking up the freaking Zand dynasty, and like this is the insane part. The Zand dynasty, like, which is like just like some random like garbage Durka jihadi dynasty, like they ceased to exist back in like the 1700s, right? So, right, like do you see the kind of like Durka jihadi nonsense these people put out? So this is how you can tell that this person is an enemy of the Iranian people, because this is a very common tactic of the Islamic regime. They'll say, oh yeah, we want the Shah back, but not the Pahlavi Shah. We want some other Shah from like who knows when, right? So there you go. This is how you can spot, guys, Durka. Like we're Durka watching, right? So this is a Durka right here. Terrorist right here. So there you go. All I can say is Shaheen, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to expose one of the Durka lies, right? Because you just helped me expose yourselves. And خاک تو سرت که فکر کردی که من نمیدونم داری چی کار میکنی. آره شاید کمی با لهجه صحبت بکنم، ولی واقعا خاک تو سرت که شما اینقدر خنگ هست. بخشی نه شما احترامیه. خاک تو سرت که تو اینقدر خنگ هستی که فکر کردی من متوجه نمیشم داری چی کار میکنی. خاک تو سرت، خاک تو هفجد آبادت، بی ناموس بی وطن. برگرد برو چی میدونم برگرد برو جهنم، همون جایی که ازش اومدی. Anyway, so there you go. That's all I want to say. I'm done with you and your garbage jihadi nonsense. So just blocked you, and we're going to move on, because anyone who's like, I support the Zand dynasty, honestly, like there's so many crazy people out there, right? Like that would be the equivalent of I don't even know how to like compare that. Like how do you even compare that? It's crazy people. anyways, so Adam Wooford says you should rename it Get Felted List. So who got felted today? Are you talking about the Durka Boom Boom Jihadi list? Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, like Omid, like so to all the Iranians, like اصلا ببین دیگه نه تنها باید با رژیم مبارزه بکنیم، باید با این دیوونا مبارزه بکنیم که دارن میگن بیا مثلا ما زندار رو میخوایم. Like what the, like who's even in the set, like do we even have modern day descendants of the Zand dynasty? Like literally, there's not even like a modern day descendant of the Zand dynasty. Like this is how insane the Islamic regime is. Okay, they're literally trying to like just create confusion amongst the Iranian people. Remember, the reason that Iran is modernized to the way it is today is because of the Pahlavi dynasty. Okay, this is why we call Reza Shah the Great the father of modern day Iran, because modern day Iran and Pahlavi are synonymous. Okay, you literally cannot have modern day Iran without the Pahlavi family. So anyone who comes in and says, oh yeah, we want the Shah but not the Pahlavis, they're part of the Islamic regime. Infiltrators, done and done. That's it. So just wanted to share that. Anyways, so the next comment, minor dine, Goldie is always right. Yes, I am. Thank you. On my channel anyway, like on other channels when I'm like a guest, not as much. But when it comes to geopolitics, yes, I am. Eli says, Durud, welcome, Eli. Haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Daniel says, hope that you are enjoying your trip. Appreciate you taking the time to stream and do interviews. Thank you so much. This trip was planned like a while ago, well before the revolution, well before the conflict started. And it's partially a business trip as well. So I'm doing a lot of work, amongst other things. I'm enjoying it as much as I can, but I'm telling you honestly, like everywhere I go, my head is literally in my phone, and I'm just like, constantly like looking at things and updating myself, and all I'm thinking about is like, when is the next time that I can live stream? And guys, like I've literally like changed my schedule around to do interviews, but I don't mind because it's an honor for me to be able to do this, and the fact that I have a platform. So I mean, I'm enjoying it as much as I can, but given everything that's happening, like if I had the choice to stay at home, I would, but it is what it is. But like I said, as long as I have my laptop and an internet connection, doesn't matter. And of course my flag, right? Like, and guys, I literally packed my flag and I brought it with me. So like I said, no matter where I am in the world, as long as I have my laptop, an internet connection, and my Iran flag, I'm good to go. That's all I need. So we're currently low tech based. But Daniel, thank you so much for the comments. Eli gifted a membership. Thank you so much. And then we have a comment from Sergio. Once free, I think the Iranians will have to worry about radical Islamists from all over the Middle East will start pouring into Iran, so not lose Islamic lands. Do you see this being a real possibility? So here's the thing. All of these radical Islamists have already poured into Iran. Why do you think Khamenei's funeral was so, packed? Those weren't Iranians. Those were the non-Iranian Durkas. So when we free Iran, we will definitely like kick out all of the non-Iranians. Like we're going to go full national, okay? Because Iran belongs to Iranians, and we right now, Iran is occupied by foreign, non-Iranian Muslim terrorists. Okay, so we're gonna have to like kick them all out, right? We're gonna kick them all out. We basically have to purify Iran. Okay, we have to get rid of all the invaders. And, that's going to take a couple of years to do, I assume. But we are going to do that because Iran belongs to Iranians. And right now, we are occupied by non-Iranian invaders. And I actually shared, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm not even joking. Like, let me share this footage again because this is like one of the most insane, like, it's just like, I see this, I'm like, right? Like, it's such a garbage thing. Such a garbage thing, right? But my gosh, like it's wild. It's wild. Let me share this. Because like this will just funeral. Let's see. Wait. Let me find this because I know I shared this before, but this is gonna like in Persian we say like shoh dar miyarid, which means like your head's gonna explode. Okay. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Look at this. So when we say, okay, so when I say that we are going to we're going to kick out all the foreigners who are currently occupying Iran, I'm not joking. Look at this, guys. Look at these non-Iranian Durkas who are attending Khamenei's funeral. Okay? Just read the subtitles. Read the subtitles. So, yes, we are going to expel all of these non-Iranian Durka terrorists from our country. We will purify Iran when Iran is free. Because look at these garbage people from these garbage countries. Like look at this. Like literally, this guy is from Uganda. Like this Durka jihadi from Uganda came to occupied Iran to mourn the death of Khamenei. Khabar Margish.
I'm from Uganda. बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम सुबह के 3 बज रहे हैं और तेहरान के मेट्रो में देखिए किस तरह की भीड़ है माशाल्लाह
आमदी जानम लकुर्बानत.
My name is Shabir Mehdi Khan. I am from India.
Oh look, did you see that? That was Jackson Hinkle. That was Jackson Hinkle. Did you see Jackson Hinkle? Jackson Hinkle became the little water boy for the Muslim Durkas, right?
Khan, I am from India.
اینجا یک صحنه بسیار زیبا دیدم از برادران فاطمیون.
Right. So here's the thing. Fatimiyun are the Afghan terrorists, right? So do not compare him with Gul Mohammad Mohammadi, who was a real Afghan patriot who joined the Iranian people and our fight for freedom, right? The Islamic regime, they murder real Afghans who are patriots. These are the Fatimiyun. Fatimiyun is an Afghan terrorist organization.
اینجا یک صحنه بسیار زیبا دیدم از برادران فاطمیون، برادران اهل کشور افغانستان.
I'm from Uganda.
Yep, go back to Uganda where you belong, garbage. Honestly, right? So there you go. I'm from Uganda. So there you go. So yeah, we will definitely like so going back to your question here, right? So we're not actually worried about radical Islamists pouring in. They've already poured in. It's literally the worst case scenario. It's literally the Muslim Nazi occupation. So we're already planning on expelling them, right? Getting them out of the country. That's because it's already happened. X Craftlick says that hat is fire, Goldie. Thank you. Thank you for liking my hat. It's available on my merch store if you like it. PC Left. Goldie, the NYC mayor is so silent on IRGC crimes, all while expressing his anti-Israel narrative. Yeah, that's because Mamdani is actually a 12er Shia. Yeah. So there's actually, remember, the vast majority of people who support the Islamic regime are not actually Iranian. They're Pakistani or whatever. So even though Mamdani is from, I don't know, he's like from some African country. I don't know if it's like Uganda or Kenya or I don't know, whatever, but he's not actually like ethnically from there. He's actually brown, right? So he's basically he's originally like he's basically an Indian person who was colonized by the Arab Muslim invaders, and then he forgot his Indian identity. Okay, so he's basically one of like those like radical jihadi brown people who are extra radical and extra jihadi because they've literally forgotten their roots. So he's basically like a Ugandan Pakistani Muslim, which is like literally on the Durka scale, he's about as high as the Houthis, okay? And yes, he is a 12er Shia Muslim, which means Zohran Mamdani's leader is Khamenei. Yes, Zohran Mamdani's leader is whoever controls the Islamic regime. So the reason that Zohran Mamdani supports the Islamic regime against the United States is because he literally worships the Muslim Nazis. And, these rootless brown people who've forgotten their Indian heritage because, they were conquered and colonized by the Arab Muslim invaders, they have no other identity except for, their weird imam who's, stuck in a well. So remember, guys, whenever you think about like 12er Shia Muslims, it's basically like the movie The Ring. Okay, so according to 12er Shia Muslims, the 12th imam, the Mahdi, is stuck in a well. Okay, so he's stuck in a well, and it's basically the responsibility of Zohran Mamdani and like all the 12er Shia Muslims to help their imam come out of the well. And whenever their imam comes out of the well, that's when Armageddon begins. Kind of like the movie The Ring, right? Remember in the movie The Ring? It's like there's like a girl who's stuck in a well, and then like the people like they watch like they answer a telephone or something, and then when you answer the telephone, that helps the girl come out of the well, and then she comes out of the TV screen, and it's like Armageddon. That's pretty much 12er Shia Islam. That's pretty much all you need to know about 12er Shia Islam, right? So Zohran Mamdani doesn't speak out against the Islamic regime because he actually supports what the Islamic regime is doing, because he is he's an infiltrator, he's a mercenary, he's a spy. I'm not American, but if I was American, I would immediately denaturalize and deport him, right? Because ask yourself, why would his family, who supports terrorists, why would they immigrate to the United States and then immediately start putting out anti-America rhetoric and propaganda as soon as they become American citizens, right? Just saying, right? Literally, like red flags all over the place. Like that guy should have been deported yesterday. But, I'm not American. I can't comment on American internal foreign policy, but I find it incredibly insane that someone like Zohran Mamdani, who literally worships Khamenei, right? Like he literally thinks Khamenei is like a god. So he worships Khamenei. That guy can become an American citizen and then he becomes the mayor of New York City. But then someone like me, who speaks out against Islamic terrorism, right? I'm stuck in the hellhole that is Canada. Anyways, there you go. Some food for thought. All right, next super chat. We have, that's a fake pineapple grenade on his vest. It's a prop. I think you're referring to the Iraqi Durka, probably. I wouldn't disagree with that, right? So, and then Xcraft says, pre-woke communist Islamist influence. We were always taught in Western schools how incredible Persia was and how intelligent the Persians are. Yes, absolutely, because remember, the Persian people and, the Iranian people and the Iranian identity and the Iranian culture has existed for thousands of years before Islam was invented. So everything that you were taught about the Persians and whatever, that was basically us before the invention of Islam. So yeah, like we Iranians, we are awesome people. We have an awesome civilization. We have an awesome culture. We pretty much invented the concept of human rights and freedom of religion. We also invented the concept of, paid maternity leave. So, 2,500 years ago, oops, internet connection issues. Any woman who was a citizen of the Persian Empire, she got paid maternity leave 2,500 years ago. So yeah, we are kind of cool people. And yeah, when the Arab Muslims invaded our country 1,400 years ago, it turned into hell basically. And we've been fighting them ever since. And, whenever we speak out, we're accused of Islamophobia, right? But literally, we Iranians were beyond that. Because here's the thing. The Arab Muslim identity is literally counterintuitive to the Iranian identity. Like, anyone who knows their history understands that you cannot be Iranian and be Muslim at the same time. And this is why the vast majority of Iranians are not Muslim anymore, because we are literally going through a national renaissance and a national revival. And that national revival means that we are embracing our Iranian identity and we are overwhelmingly rejecting Islam, because everything that Islam stands for is literally the opposite of everything that Iran stands for. And that's just the way it is. PC Love says, my Egyptian Christian friend says Egypt should be Christian again. He is a native Copt. They are the natives of Egypt, oppressed for 1,400 years since Egypt. Yes, absolutely. I actually have a lot of Egyptian Coptic friends, and I 100% agree with this statement. In fact, a lot of my Egyptian Coptic friends tell me like how envious they are of the fact that when the Arab Muslims conquered Persia, we were able to preserve our language, even though they banned Persian for 200 years because they wanted us to forget our language and only speak Arabic. Unfortunately, what happened in Egypt, like it was the same thing in Egypt, right? So they banned, when the Arab Muslims conquered Egypt, they banned the Egyptian language. And unfortunately for the Egyptians, when they burned the Alexandria library, and like basically just destroyed everything, the Egyptians didn't have the equivalent of Ferdowsi. So Ferdowsi is the Iranian author who, 200 years after the Arab Muslim invasion, Ferdowsi revived the Persian language by writing the epic Odyssey, the Shahnameh, which is called Shahnameh means Book of Kings. So the reason that we Iranians speak Persian today is because after 200 years of the Arab Muslim invaders banning our language, we were able to revive it because we had an author and a poet who for 30 years, secretly wrote this book. Okay. He secretly wrote the book without the Arab Muslim invaders knowing, and he helped to revive the language. Unfortunately, the Egyptian people didn't have that, which is why the original Egyptian language is pretty much lost to history. Okay? And the reason that the Egyptian language is lost to history is because of the Arab Muslim invaders. And I've had a lot of my Egyptian Coptic friends, tell me, how envious they are of the fact that, we had Ferdowsi who helped to preserve our language. But the Egyptians, they don't have the equivalent of Ferdowsi. And honestly, I really feel for the Egyptian people because Egyptians are not Arab. Remember, ancient Egypt, beautiful culture, beautiful language, beautiful guys. Look at this. I love ancient Egypt so much that I literally have the Eye of Horus tattooed on my wrist, right? And because that's how much I personally I love ancient Egypt, and I've always aside from my Iranian culture and heritage and history, I've always had a fascination with ancient Egypt. And as a child, I learned so much about ancient Egypt, and I always wondered, how is it that all of a sudden the ancient Egyptians just forgot their language? How is it that they forgot their language? Because the history books don't really speak about that. It's only more recently when I was looking, when I was learning more about the Islamic invasion of Persia, that I started expanding and learning more about the Islamic invasion of other countries. And I was like, oh my gosh, the reason that the Egyptians lost their language was because of the Islamic invasion of Egypt. So there you go. Right? Yeah, but and I have the tattoo on both, right? So there you go. There you go. So literally the only tattoos I've ever gotten so far, although I do want to get some Iranian tattoos as well, but there you go. So this is how much I love ancient Egypt and ancient Egyptian culture. So just want to point that out. And by the way, I got these tattoos when I was 38. So it's not like I got these tattoos as a child. I literally got these tattoos 3 years ago because I was I've always wanted a tattoo, but I was waiting for the right thing and something that meant something to me. So there you go. I got these 3 years ago. So I love these. I think they're super gorgeous. And yeah, anyways, there you go. Oh yeah, no, Caleb says Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya. Yeah, 100%. Guys, I've been to Morocco and I've met so many Berber people, same thing. So, I actually learned this about Morocco. So the reason that the Berbers in Morocco were able to preserve their language was because the Berbers lived in the mountains. And so when the Arab Muslim invaders came and conquered Morocco, apparently, this is according to the Berbers in Morocco, they were too lazy to go invade the mountains. And so the Berbers were able to preserve their language. And so that's why the Berbers still speak their language and not Arabic, right? But unfortunately, the Egyptians don't have that luxury. Fadi. So Fadi are, resident Assyrian. Fadi says, we escaped the Middle East to Canada to run away from persecution, and now Canada is full of Durkas. So I'm waiting for Iran to be free so I can seek asylum there. Free Iran, Javish. Oh my gosh, Fadi. Yes, you know what? When Iran is free, we would be blessed to have Syrians come to Iran and seek refuge there. Because, guys, let me tell you, any society, any culture that has Assyrian people is incredibly blessed, because Assyrian people are some of the most hardworking, productive, and some of the best contributing members to society are the true, authentic Assyrian people, right? And of course, Assyrians are Christians, amazing people, contribute so much to society. And yes, absolutely, we would love to listen. We're all gonna escape back to Iran, right? Like, it's the same thing. Same story with my family. My parents immigrated to Canada in 1986 to get away from the Muslim Nazis occupying Iran. And now, look at what look at what's happening in Canada right now. So I feel you 100%. I feel you, Fadi. And you are more than welcome in Iran when Iran is free. It'll be our safe haven from all the Durkas, right? X Craftlick says, the most dangerous thing about Trump is that he understands what it means to be human in the battle between good and evil. Yes, exactly, right? The fact that President Trump is relying on his humanity, that is what makes him incredibly dangerous to the Islamic regime. And I think the Islamic regime does not understand how much they're messing up with President Trump. I agree 100%. Laszlo says, Javid Nam Gul Mohammad Mohammadi. I agree. Gul Mohammad Mohammadi is one of our Javid Nams. PC Love says, Goldie, Iran regime to me is like the man who took over Germany in 100. This is exactly it. This is why I literally call the Islamic regime Muslim Nazis. And I call, Khamenei, the dead one, and, whatever, like the Muslim Hitler. They're literally the modern day version of the Nazis back in World War II. That's why I call them Muslim Nazis. Laszlo says, Javid Nam Erfan. Yes, of course, Javid Nam. Thank you. Scruff Dizzle, Diana Tehrabadi. Yes, so the Islamic regime is persecuting a 16-year-old girl, Diana Tehrabadi, incredibly sad. She was so I actually this is the part that like breaks my heart, because I don't even have breaking news on her right now. But I'm going to share this. So this is Diana. She's 16 years old. Diana is 16 years old, and the Islamic regime is planning on executing her because she joined the January protests. So the Islamic regime is a child murdering regime, and the last that we heard is that the Islamic regime is planning on executing this 16-year-old girl for the crime of wanting to live in a free and democratic society. It gets worse than that, guys. It gets worse than that. So keep in mind, the Muslim Nazis believe, right? They literally believe that virgins go to heaven. So for the last 47 years, before they execute an Iranian woman or girl, they rape her. They usually gang rape her because they want to make sure that she's not a virgin so that her soul doesn't go to hell. So the fact that Diana is currently on death row, that means that there is a very, very strong likelihood and possibility that this 16-year-old girl has been gang raped by the Muslim Nazis in the name of Allah and Muhammad and jihad, because the Muslim Nazis want to make sure that when she is executed, her soul doesn't go to heaven. Yeah. Welcome to the nightmare of the Iranian people, right? Like the Islamic regime, like the Muslim men, they literally gang rape children to make sure that their souls don't go to heaven when they're executed. And this has been going on for 47 years. Fickle Knot. Goldie, why hasn't this been called the genocide that it is against a certain race of people who are Iranian? Well, because it's not, so it's not genocide against a certain race, okay? The Muslim Nazis are genociding all Iranians. So it's not about race, because all Iranians are being persecuted, right? All of us are being persecuted, regardless of which part of the country that we're from. So the reason that this isn't being called a genocide against the Iranian people, it's the same reason why those same countries, right, the same Muslim countries, refuse to acknowledge the Armenian genocide, right? Because if they acknowledge that Islam is genociding Iranians, or let's say, 100 years ago, Islam was genociding Armenians, or, even think it's not just even the Armenian genocide or the Iranian genocide. Assyrian people, there's the Assyrian genocide, there's the Yazidi genocide, there's the Chaldean genocide, right? All of these various groups in the Middle East have been genocided by the Muslims for the last not 47 years, for the last 1400 years. For the last 1400 years, they have been genociding non-Muslim identities. The reason that they don't call it genocide is because then they would have to admit that they're literally engaging in jihad, right? So what you're seeing happening is jihad. But when we try to call it out, they accuse us of Islamophobia. But yes, there's been an Iranian genocide, an Armenian genocide, an Assyrian genocide, Chaldean genocide, right? All of Jewish genocide. Let's not forget the Jewish genocide, okay? On top of everything else, the Jewish genocide. Okay? This has been happening for a very long time. The reason no one calls it out is because then, they will have to come to terms with the very uncomfortable truth that Muslims have been genociding various people and societies for the last 1400 years, right? So that's why they don't call it what it is. But all of us who have been victims of Muslim, Islamic jihad, right? We all know what it is. We all know what it is. X Craftflix says, Remember, Goldie, you and Tusi were calling this long before any U.S. military involvement. That is true. Believe in yourself and the freedom of the beautiful Persian people. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And yes, we are absolutely. Man ab mikham is the only thing I learned to say from my Iranian. You know what? If there's one thing, if there's one phrase to learn in Persian, man ab mikham is actually a very good one. So for everyone who's watching, man ab mikham means I want water. A pretty good phrase actually, because we kind of need water to survive, right? So the fact that your Iranian friends taught you man ab mikham, that's perfect. Like, you have some very, very high quality Iranian friends, so you should go and thank them, because I 100% approve of this statement. Yeah, like man ab mikham. And guys, so here's the secret as well, okay? If you go to an Iranian and you say man ab mikham, I want water, because of our culture and the way we are, we'll be like, okay, you want water? What about food? Do you want food? Do you want this? Do you want that? Right? Like, guys, it doesn't just end with water. If you say like you want water, you'll probably end up having like a 5-course Persian dinner at the end of it, right? So very, very good phrase to know. Your friends are keeping an eye out for you, because it never just end. Like, it might start with water, but it doesn't end with water. Like, water turns into tea, and then snacks, and then appetizers, and then like a full course dinner, and then you have like dessert afterwards. Yeah. So we are very hospitable people, and if you say you want water, you'll probably end up gaining like 10 pounds, because we're just gonna like shove food in your face and you're just going to eat it all, because Persian cuisine is delicious. There you go. Is supporting the Zand dynasty equivalent to someone supporting George Washington for president? So I would say, supporting the Zand dynasty is more equivalent to someone supporting the British monarchy to return and reclaim control of the United States. That's the equivalent, right? So imagine if like an American is like, oh yeah, like I support American freedom, but let's go back to when the British were in control, and that's how we can make Iran great again. That's pretty much the equivalent of supporting like the Zand or like any other dynasty, right? So that's like the person is saying like, oh yeah, like that would be like the equivalent of an American saying that you should like give up your independence and go back to British rule, right? That's like the best example I can give, right? Xcraft says Goldie's parents named her Goldie because they knew just how pure their daughter would be. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that. Okay, and then finally we have a new member. Okay, guys, so I wanted to thank all of you for joining me for tonight's evening edition of The Goldie Show. Before I end, let me just see. I just want to make sure that there's no more breaking news. Okay, so there's no more breaking news, but I do want to end off on this amazing statement from Senator Marco Rubio, because we all love and appreciate Marco Rubio. And yeah, so this statement here, along with everything else that I've spoken about, is what is, making my analysis for tonight remain the same, which is that I believe that all signs point to the boom booms by the United States escalating. So here is the statement from Marco Rubio. And then after this, I'm going to call it a night. So let's listen to what Marco Rubio has to say.
Well, look, all these things are compliance-based, right? I mean, if you make a deal, if you sign onto an agreement and then you violate the agreement's no longer valid. That doesn't mean you can't have a future agreement, but ultimately that future agreement will have to be judged on whether or not you're complying with the conditions. And that deal called for the opening of the straits, free and fair navigation. In fact, they were supposed to put out a statement to that regard a week and a half ago. And instead, on the day they were supposed to put out that statement, instead of doing that, they targeted and blew up or hit a ship. So we remain open to diplomacy. We remain open to working it out in a negotiated way. But right now, they don't seem to be serious about that. And so we're going to continue to protect shipping. We think other countries should join us in that endeavor. We don't need them to, but they should, because they're more impacted by it than we are. And at the same time, we are going to, when the opportunity presents itself, degrade their ability to target global shipping. Well, look, all these things are...
Well, there you go. There you go. So, again, based on everything that I've seen so far, I have a feeling that, unless something drastically changes, we are getting into the end game between the Islamic regime and the United States. And remember, this is a war that the Islamic regime started 47 years ago when they occupied Iran with the help of Jimmy Carter and the Democrats. And then they immediately turned around and started yelling, death to America, all that jihadi garbage nonsense. So President Trump, I believe, is finally ending this 47-year war that the Islamic regime started back in 1979. And, barring any sort of drastic policy shift by one side or the other, right? And as of right now, I have not seen any signs or indications that there's going to be a drastic policy shift. So assuming that everything remains as is, as of this point, it's literally full steam ahead towards the final showdown between the Islamic regime occupying Iran, aka the Muslim Nazis, and the United States of America. And, I'm not a betting person, I'm not a gambler, but if I was, I would 100% bet on the United States. So take that for what it's worth. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's evening edition of The Goldie Show. I will see all of you guys tomorrow. Again, I don't know what time because I am currently on the road, but I promise you I will do another live stream analysis tomorrow night. So make sure that you have your notifications turned on and that you are subscribed to my channel so that you guys know exactly when I'm going live. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm Goldie Ghamari. You've been watching The Goldie Show. And as always, now you know. I'll see all of you guys tomorrow.